130 BPM, right there. That's the exact frame where his double bass drumming started to fall apart, and he had no idea it was actually happening. You see, there's so much information online right now, it's hard to tell what's legitimate and what's bullshit, right? And that's part of why more coaches, me included, are showing real unedited work instead of just big, bold, fancy claims. So this call I'm going to show you is a real coaching call. There's no script, no acting. And this guy's name is Josh. He's one of my students who just started with me last week. And we're watching his footage together on our first coaching call together to find the exact point where his double bass drumming technique breaks down. And so I've done over 500 diagnostic calls, almost 550 now for my programs, plus coaching in person, doing lessons, and in videos like this one. And so in my experience with all of this, most drummers who are stuck have a specific flaw causing it and holding them back. And it is findable if you know what you're looking for. And you know how to get that idea to transfer to the person in front of you over a video call. All right, so let's talk more rock, man. Let's watch it happen in real time.
It's mainly in the second video, right?
Yeah, the longer video, yeah. The other one's just me going through like the singles.
Okay.
That'll
be like the reset foundational stuff. So like if it's not happening at 110 and it starts to happen later, it's like it's there at 110. It's just like it gets really exposed when you add more speed to it. So let me show you, and I'll show you like how I observe it, what I see, and then I'll try and get that to transfer to how you're feeling when you're playing it. So when I go to the video, when I'm watching anyone's video here, I'll just go to the speed. I'll click on the cog here, go to speed. Usually like half speed or a quarter of the speed will really show you what's going on. Okay, so I believe this was at a comfortable tempo. It's a little bit beyond this, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, you're comfortable with that. Now, the one thing I see automatically here is there's quite a bit of heel movement, maybe a little bit, like if it's comfortable for you, just don't change it. But the thing is like if we try and transfer that movement to a faster tempo, it's still going to be a really big movement when we should be minimizing the movement a little bit for efficiency. So that's just one thing to take note of as you're doing this.
So less movement on my heels.
Yeah, like because you still want to drive the heels a little bit, and you still want to drive with the legs, you know, and you want to be able to pivot in the ankles, but we don't want to lose energy, you know. Okay. So try and find that threshold. Be like, okay, I can still produce a consistent sound and a consistent amount of power. You know, how much less do I have to move my leg to generate that same instance?
Okay.
See how high it comes up here? And then it kind of goes into the distals a little bit. So then you're like pushing them with the toes. I'm not saying it's wrong necessarily, and if it feels comfortable for you, then continue. It's just something to be cognizant of.
Okay, yeah, even up to my right foot, yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay, so this is where it starts to change a little bit. See how like the right strikes first? This is why it's important, right? So when we back it up to 110 for you, and that heel goes up so high and the leg lifts so high, why that's important as we speed this up is because we have less time to react. So if we're trying to utilize the same movement as at slower tempos to faster tempos, it's not necessarily going to transfer over because we have to react quicker. So if we have more time and space in our movement and we're trying to play faster with that same large gross motor movement, then it's hard for us to like close that window with the rebound. Does that make sense?
All right, so that's the diagnosis. His heel lift is causing that involuntary tremor, or that twitch that you might know about, and the pedal is choking on the rebound. So as he increases tension, it puts forward pressure on the pedals and is just choking it out. Now, here's what that actually feels like from a player's side and how we test for it.
I'll show you on my pedals.
Okay.
And then I'll have you try it. Okay? So when you're going at like 110, like the heels are coming up and down. Doesn't feel like having to apply a lot of forward tension or pressure on the ball of your foot, right? As soon as you go faster, that heel kind of comes up and then you start to push forward on the pedal a little bit more, right? So it starts to get tighter. It feels tighter because you're trying to force it a little bit more. And as you push tighter, it's kind of choking out the the bass drum pedal from coming back up, right? So this is where you're at 110, 120, right? And that's where you hear that inconsistency. So we need to draw back on the foot a little bit and let that pedal return. And that's why the ankle mobility is really helpful here. But there's one simple way to be able to determine whether you're engaging your leg or isolating your ankle for this. And the reason why this is important is because when we go to speed things up, a lot of people just try and stop it faster, but we need more engagement from the whole chain, meaning we need our ankle to work with it. So what I want you to do just for a test is you take your hands like this, and then you wrap it around your hip, both of them, and then you have your heel down on your pedal, and you do strokes from the ankle. So if you feel any engagement from the hip, it's going to jump up a little bit. You'll be able to feel that with your hands. Right? If you're like,
so kind of playing like heel down a bit-ish, you know?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, it's just to test whether or not you have mobility in the ankle and you can produce consistent dynamics and consistency with the footwork from the ankle.
This is Josh's first session with me, so I don't have his after story yet. And that takes weeks and sometimes months, not just one coaching call. So we got to be real and transparent about that, right? So here's exactly what I gave him to work on. First thing we needed to do was test whether or not he's actually isolating the ankle or if he's just purely driving from the hip. And this is a cue that I picked up from my friend Brandon Green over at Drum Mechanics. And what it does is it gives you a visual and felt sense of what the movement should actually feel like. Second thing we did was we looked at how fast he can get his foot out of the pedal's way, so his dorsiflexion. Here's what I've noticed over hundreds of these calls. So when people, drummers, drive from the hip for their pedals, the pedal does get a chance to come back, but they're doing it by like lifting up the whole leg every time. And from what I've seen, that's not how the body naturally wants to move. So think about walking for a second. Like you don't walk with the straight legs. You bend at the knee, you bend at the ankle, and you use your shin to pull your toes up so your foot doesn't trip you and it clears you for the next step. And so that, again, that's just my read on it, but it's why I have students test whether the ankles are actually mobile on its own, and then they work it back into the whole kinetic chain instead of just trying to muscle through everything at the hip. So the third thing we did was we're gonna put some rest, like 60 to 75 seconds between his reps so his body actually recovers instead of just like trying to push through fatigue and getting sloppy takes. So we're of course gonna check back in on this to see how it goes. Now, most online drum lessons are like golf tips, 100 techniques and nobody's watching your actual golf swing. So we watch your footage and we fix the specific thing that's breaking in your situation. And this is what actual coaching looks like inside the program that I do. And most coaches, of course, just hand you drills and just kind of hope and pray it works. So we, of course, watch your footage, find where the pattern actually breaks down, and then we fix that specific thing. So if you're stuck at a tempo and you can't figure out why, that's usually why. Nobody's ever pointed out the flaw.